Let's take a look at how we can configure and use a drop-down list component in Ignition. We've all used drop-down lists many times, where we can select a single option from a list of options. The drop-down list component is under the Input tab of the component palette. We can just simply drag it onto a window. Now, the most important property of this component is the data property. It's a data set that contains one or more rows of data. Each of those rows are different options that we're going to see on the component. So let's go ahead and click on the magnifying glass on the table here to actually add some options manually. Now, there really are three modes we can put this data set into. The first is what we see right now, and that is an integer-string combination. So I have two columns. First one's integer, second one is a string. The first column is what we use behind the scenes. It's a code that we can use in binding, but the user will see the second column, which is the label. So if I put these values to, let's say 1, 5, and 8, and I put it to value 1, value 2, and lastly value 3, if I have these three options, when I go ahead and press OK, I can go into preview mode here, and I can select from that list of options. As you can see, I can only see the second column. If I click on value 1, you'll see that on the properties behind the scenes, the selected value is the first column, the number that we have behind the scenes. The selected string value and selected label are both the same, and that's the second column. So if I go over here and select, say, value 3, you're going to see selected value is 8, and then the string and label is value 3. So that's the first mode we can put this data set into. The second mode we can put it into is a string-string combination where we have two columns and they're both strings. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the value here, remove that column. I'm going to add another column here, clicking on the vertical plus icon. I'm going to call this one code. I'm going to put it at the very first position and make it a string. So now I have two strings. I'm going to put this one as V1, V2, and then V3. So when I press OK here, again, the user is going to see the same three options in the drop-down list. But if I select value 1, as you can see here, the selected string value now is what I'm going to use because that's the first column as V1. Then the label is the second one. Click on value 3, I can see V3 as a selected string value and then select the label as value 3. The third mode we can put the data set into is simply just one string. So I can remove that code and just have value 1, 2, and 3. Again, same thing. I'm going to see those three options in there. If I select it, now all I get really here is selected label. That's going to be that second column, or that column, the string there. So those are the three options we can put it into. Now we can set these options manually ourselves, or we can actually bind the data set to a SQL query to bring back options from a database. So that's really easy to do. I can actually take a drop-down list on the window, I can bind the data property to a SQL query, and I can basically type a query in here. For example, I'm going to select the category ID and then category name from our categories table. I'm going to order them all by the name in ascending order. I'm going to do this simply just once from our database connection. Go ahead and press OK. And now, if I go in here, I can see all the options that came back from the database. If I select one of these options, of course, I'll see the ID as a selected value and then the string as whatever I've selected. There's another really cool option for the drop-down list, in that we can show more than one column to a user. Let's take another drop-down list and put it onto our window here. I can actually go to the dataset property here, and I can add some options manually. So instead of just having two columns here, I can add as many as I want. We just need the first two to be either integer string or string or just one string there. So I'm going to add a couple options here. I'm going to value 1, value 2, and I'm going to actually then add a couple more columns at the end here. So I'm going to add a couple of columns at the end. I'll call this one call 3 and add it to the very end, make it a string, and I'll say hello and another string. Okay, so basically I have another column here. I can keep adding more columns. So when I press OK, all I can see right now in the drop-down list would be that second column, value 1, value 2. I only see 1 here. But there's a way to actually go down to the component and set it to the style to a table. When I set it to a table, I can actually show more than one column. So now if I look at this, I can see the label and call 3 here. And so I can select between those different rows. So there is a nice way to show more information in the drop-down list, and there's a way of hiding certain columns. As you can see right now, I'm hiding the first column, which is the ID. If I remove that, then I can actually see all the columns that exist in that data set.